Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, children, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Did you see the did you see the division of CBSE? Did you see the division of syllabus issued by CBSE on Saturday?
No, ma'am.
Not seen.
No,
It is
ma'am.
on CBSE. You've not seen. It's on the CBSE site. You've not seen that. Beta, CBSE has changed some pattern of your examination. Class 11th and 12th. Some chapters have been put for first term and the other chapters have been put in the second term. Okay. And we'll have to go according to that only. So there is a change now. We'll have to shift on to the chapters which are issued by CBSE. You've not got any information regarding this as of now?
Ma'am, I have read that the changes in the 10th and 12th syllabus.
11th also they have divided the syllabus into 2 terms. They have specified which chapters are to be taken up beta. Earlier they did not inform us anything, and later they generally say, oh, we are
Ma'am, our
going to
midterm exam will be conducted in which month?
beta, it should be September.
Ma'am, then how we will cover up those chapters?
Class 11th is not an issue at all. We can make the paper according to our convenience. That is absolutely okay. For class 11, there is no issue. The only problem comes in class 12th. See, they have divided class 11th also. They have taken up chapters, if you want, you can know that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, note it down. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
It's absolutely okay. Whatever we are able to cover, we'll take up those. We still have the liberty in class 11. There is no problem for this. But they have divided the syllabus like this. That according to the first term, we'll do this according to, but they should have informed us earlier. We were following what happened last year, but now they have changed all of them different. And some topics of the chapters they have said not to teach. We can just have projects on them, some investigatory projects or something. Practical examination can also be taken. Now, the only thing which is left to be clarified is for class 12, we have an MCQ pattern. Okay. We're going to have only MCQs in the first. Yeah, for 10th and 12th both. Only MCQs in the first term. Their entire syllabus and whatever will come in the first term beta will not come in your final exams. This is for 11th also. Generally in 11th we had the entire syllabus now coming. I hope you know about this.
In the
In
final examination.
Yes, now we will not have this. Whatever comes in the first term will not be included in this as an examination in the second term for your people. Okay, understood this? So it's comparatively easy. It's comparatively easy for you. Yes, it's going to be very easy for you. It's something like earlier we had. Whatever you study in the first term, You can simply forget about it in the second term. That will not
But
be assessed. Yes, in the second term, children. And this is for
but
all subjects.
in competitions, we will have the whole syllabus.
Yes, Peter. Obviously, in competitions, we'll have this whole syllabus. So obviously, we'll be studying everything. But the point is that we are not going to assess you at the end of the year for the entire syllabus. So they have divided the syllabus into 2 terms. Basically, they are trying to say whatever we assess you in the first term, we will not take up in the second term. Plus, they've also cut up some topics from each chapter, which I'm not doing. I'm not cutting any topics from any chapter. In class 11th, we are comfortable at our mode. We can go according to our style. So no issues. I'm not cutting any topics from any chapters. However, for assessment, I will be considering that, but I will not give you questions based on that topic. But as of now, I'm not cutting down anything. Let me start very quickly. We have to
What about
start.
the final examination?
Final
Which chapters will
examination?
be coming?
Second term data. Whatever is left, whatever we have done till now, ecology will be this, the last part data. Whatever we have covered, the human systems and all, they will all be coming in the second term. Cell and this classification and all will be there. If you want, I'll post on the groups also for you people, so that you know the first chapter is coming. Let me make it very systematic. The first chapter is coming. Have you done the first chapter?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
And the second chapter is also coming. The second chapter is also coming. I'm taking up the second chapter. Very simple. By first chapter, so I think you've given a test also already. Biological classification is the second chapter, easy chapter. The first person to attempt classification was Aristotle. Who was the first person who tried to attempt classification?
Aristotle.
Aristotle.
He made 3 categories of plants and 2 categories of animals. 3 categories of plants and 2 categories of animals. On the basis of their height, he categorized plants into 3 categories. Sabse bada wala he called them as trees, and then shrubs and herbs. But animals, he had only 2 categories, he said. Those who have red blood and those who do not have red blood. So who was the first person to attempt classification?
Aristotle.
Aristotle.
Please speak out, children. How many categories for plants did he have?
Trees, shrubs, and herbs.
Yes, so he had 3 categories. And for animals, he had just 2 categories. He said those animals which have red blood, for example, mammals, lizards, birds, fish. And according to him, those who do not have red blood. And in those who do not have red blood, again, he did a classification, hard-bodied and soft-bodied. He said hard-bodied and soft-bodies means insects. Hard-bodied directly, he took it as insects. And soft bodies, he again classified into shells and no shells. Fishes only, if they have a shell, they are put in shell category of soft body. And if they do not have a shell, for example, jellyfish, then also it is soft body. So all the fishes, beta, to be very simple, all the fishes he put in the category of soft bodied, and insects he put in the category of hard bodied. According to him, fishes and insects are put in the category of which blood? No
No red
No
blood.
Yes. Children, please speak out. Who was the person who attempted classification for the first time?
Aristotle.
How many categories for plants?
3.
3 categories.
3 categories for plants. And how many categories of animals did he say are there?
2.
2 categories.
2. What are the categories he took?
Red blood and no red
Red
blood.
blood and without red blood.
Actually, if you see, this classification is not correct, beta. Because ऐसा कुछ नहीं है that fishes do not have red blood. Fishes also have red blood only. It is red, okay, because it contains hemoglobin. Fishes also have blood which contains hemoglobin. If you catch a fresh fish and you cut it, you will be able to see the blood vessel very clearly. So this classification is not very authentic. We are not giving much time to this. He just said this, that again, no red blood, he classified into hard-bodied and soft-bodied. Hard-bodied were insects and soft-bodied were fishes. Soft-bodied were fishes. Move on to the next classification proposed by Linnaeus. He said the entire organisms can be put into two kingdoms, Plantae and Animalia. Which are the two kingdoms?
Plantae and
Plantae
Animalia.
and Animalia.
So he had a two kingdom classification. If I talk about Linnaeus, he proposed a two kingdom classification, but there was a drawbacks of this classification. Like prokaryotes and eukaryotes were included under plants. All the prokaryotes, eukaryotes, everything he included under the category of plants because he said they have a cell wall. Because anything that had a cell wall, he said, chalo, isko plant mein dal dete hain. But this is not correct. If we compare bacteria with ferns or bacteria with angiosperms and gymnosperms, there's so many differences among them. But he did not go for this. He simply said that जिसमें cell wall hai, put it in the category of plants, and जिसमें cell wall nahi hai, they are all animals. He just had two kingdoms. So this was the first drawback, that prokaryotes, eukaryotes, all were put under the category of plants. Second beta, unicellular, multicellular organisms also he put in the same group only. Eukaryotes, prokaryotes in the same group, unicellular, multicellular in the same group, and there was no difference between heterotrophic and autotrophic green plants. Like we talk about fungi, they are heterotrophic, but algae are autotrophic, green plants. So whether they were green or they were non-green, they were autotrophic or they were heterotrophic, he simply put them in the same category. Okay, fungi have a different kind of a wall. They have chitin, and green plants have cellulose. So he did not go for these things in detail. He simply said, chalo, put them all in plants. All those which have a plant cell wall, let's have them in which category? Plants. So these are the three drawbacks. Prokaryotes, eukaryotes put together, unicellular, multicellular to put together, and autotrophs and heterotrophs put together. Okay, let me have the drawbacks of this system. First was prokaryotes and who were put together?
Eukaryotes.
Second, unicellular were kept with?
Multicellular.
Multicellular.
And autotrophs were kept with?
Heterotrophs.
Yes.
Heterotrophs.
So Linnaeus gave how many kingdom classification?
Two kingdoms.
Okay. Plantae and
Animalia.
Animalia. Then we had another person, R.H. Whitaker. He proposed the 5 kingdom classification, a little better one. 2 already we had. Plantae and Animalia kingdoms were already there, beta. He added 3 more kingdoms, Monera, Protista, and Fungi. Okay. We already had 2 kingdoms, Plantae and. Tell me quickly which 2 kingdoms were already there. Plantae and Animalia.
Animal.
Yes. 3 more he added. Which 3 more? Diversity was a chapter, I think, in class 9. Did you study or that was also cut in COVID?
Ma'am, we studied.
Yes. Tell me, diversity in living organisms. I think we had a chapter in class 9. Did you study
Yes,
this or was
ma'am.
it cut?
Yes, ma'am.
We have
Yes,
studied
ma'am.
it.
It was deleted.
No.
No,
No,
ma'am, we
ma'am.
have studied.
Actually, you have studied. Then it's okay. So, Whitaker had 5 kingdom classification. How many kingdoms? 5
Five.
kingdoms. Huh?
Kingdoms.
Five kingdoms.
So we had the first 2 categories as plants and animals. What about the rest of the 3 kingdoms? Come on, name the other 3 kingdoms.
Monera,
Ma'am,
Protista.
Monera,
Fungi.
Protista, fungi.
Fungi.
Monera, Protista, and fungi. Very good. So, 2 kingdom classification was given by
Aristotle.
Aristotle.
Very nice, very nice. And 5 kingdom classification was given by
R.H. Whitaker.
R.H. Whittaker.
which 3 kingdoms did he add?
Monera,
Monera,
Protista.
Protista,
Monera,
and fungi.
Protista, and
Okay, this is about the history of classification. He said we have 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, Animalia. Out of these, only the first one, Monera, is prokaryotic. The rest all are eukaryotic. Okay, only the first one, Monera, prokaryotic. Rest all are eukaryotic. Let's move on to the cell walls. The cell walls of Monera are not made up of cellulose. They are made up of polysaccharides and amino acids. But when we talk about Protista, all of them do not have a cell wall. Some are present, some of them have. Fungus, yes, we have, made up of chitin and polysaccharides. Plantae, it is made up of cellulose. And in animals, we do not have a cell wall. So if you see, very simply, they are able to differentiate. How are they differentiating, beta? The cell wall part, what about Monera? Tell me what about
Prokaryotic.
Monera? Yes, prokaryotic. Now, let's talk about the nuclear membrane. It is absent only in one. Tell me which one?
Monera.
Prokaryotic.
Hmm?
Monera.
Yes, beta. It is Monera. Let's move further. Let's talk about the body organization. Cellular. This is multicellular. Fungus is multicellular. And Plantae, they have tissue and organ system. Animalia also have tissue and organ system. We don't have to learn anything in this. This is just for a little bit of your knowledge. Monera is autotrophic. Protista is also autotrophic. Let's talk about fungus, Plantae, and Animalia over here. See, this is the fungi and Animalia. These are the two which are heterotrophic. Which are the two which are heterotrophic? Tell me quickly.
Fungi and animalia.
Fungi.
Let's move on to the next one, kingdom Monera. Okay. We're talking about Monera. Whenever we say Monera, we mean bacteria. Is it okay? Whenever we say Monera, what will we say?
Bacteria.
Yes, beta. We mean bacteria.
Bacteria.
Yes, very good. Okay, beta. Chalo. Most abundant microorganisms. They are the most abundant microorganisms. Most abundant microorganisms. Hundreds of bacteria are present in a handful of soil. If you just take one fist of your soil, you will have so many bacteria. What does this show? The most abundant. Most abundant of which category, beta? Bacha, we need 5
Bacteria.
categories. Yes. When I say
Monera.
Monera, I mean bacteria. Look at this boy. He is washing his hands and so many bacteria are there over here. Okay. They also live in extreme habitats such as hot springs, deserts, snow, and deep oceans. And many of them are parasites. So you see, there is so much of variety when we talked about Moneras. When I say Monera, what do I mean, children?
Bacteria.
Most abundant ones are bacteria. What about the mode of nutrition?
Autotrophic or heterotrophic.
Yes. Okay. So these are very complicating organisms. I think this was the only reason why Whitaker put them in a separate category. He did not put them with plants and animals, beta. And most special thing is they can be found in extreme habitats. You can find them in hot springs, deep oceans. This is the reason probably that he had put them in a separate category. So whenever we say Monera, we mean, what do we mean, children?
Bacteria.
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 Good. And one thing we all need to remember, two things about them. Number one, they're most abundant and they're found in extreme habitats. Let's move on further. We're continuing with Monera. If I talk about the shapes, we have different shapes. If they're spherical like this, we call them as coccus. Okay. If they're rod shaped, they're called bacillus. If they're comma shaped, we call them as vibrium. And if they're spiral shaped, then we call them a spirillum. So how many shapes are there, beta? 4 shapes are there. Tell me, if they're spherical, what are they called?
Coccus.
Focus.
Yes. If they're rod shaped, they are called?
Bacillus.
Bacillus.
Good. If they're comma shaped, we call them as?
Vibrio.
Good. And if they're spiral shape, we call them as?
Spirillum.
Spirillum.
We are studying about bacteria in detail. Before I start explaining bacteria to you, just see the figure on your screens very quickly. I'll explain it to you. How many shapes of bacteria did we discuss, children?
4.
4.
Very good. I have hidden them. Can you give me the names?
Focus,
Focus,
Spirillum,
Bacillus,
and Bacillus.
Vibrio and Psyllium.
Bacillus and Spirillum.
Very good. The rod-shaped ones are called?
Bacillus.
Bacillus,
Bacillus.
Very good. They're called bacillus. The spherical ones are called?
Spirillum.
Very good.
Spirillum.
They're called spirillum. Very good. So you remember the shapes. Now please see on your screen, I've shared something. I'll be explaining this to you very quickly. Let's start now, children. Okay. Bacterial structure is very simple. If you see the structure, it is very simple. But their working, their behavior is very complex. Okay. Always remember. Dekhne mein to they are very simple organisms, bacteria. But if we talk about their behavior, it is very, very complex. How they are complex? Some of them are autotrophic, some of them are heterotrophic. Some bacteria, they can make their own food from inorganic substrates. Anything which is inorganic, they can make their food. But majority of them are heterotrophs. They do not make their own food. They depend on other organisms, especially the dead matter for the food. So first complexity in bacteria that we have read is that they can either be autotrophic or they can be heterotrophic. Okay, either autotrophic or
Heterotrophic.
yes, heterotrophic. Now we are talking about the classification of bacteria. Chalo, I'll give you 1 minute to see the screen. ना मम्मी तो स्कूल गई हैं। Have you seen the classification? Let's start. Bacteria, that is Monera, divided into 2 categories, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Archaebacteria, first only the main classification. Tell me the 2 categories of bacteria. Archaebacteria and?
Archaebacteria and Eubacteria.
So let us first study about Archaebacteria. They are very special. They live in extreme habitats like salty areas. Those which live in salty areas, they're called halophiles. Those which live in hot springs, they're called thermoacidophiles. And those which live in marshy areas, they're called methanogens. So let me have it very quickly. Out of Archaea and Eubacteria, which one is found in extreme conditions?
Archaebacteria.
Archaebacteria.
Speak out, boys. Archaebacteria. In Archaebacteria, those are found in extreme salty conditions. What do we call them as?
halophiles,
Yes.
Halophile.
Halophile comes from the word halogens, which make salts. So we get this word halophiles. Those which can tolerate extreme conditions of temperatures. And of course, pH.
thermoacidophile,
Yes, beta.
Thermoacidophiles.
Beta, बिल्कुल सही बोल रहे हैं. They can tolerate extreme conditions of temperature and also pH values. And those which grow in marshy areas, what are they called?
Methanogens.
methanogens,
Methanogen.
Methanogens. So what are the two basic categories of bacteria? Archaebacteria and
Eubacteria.
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 You very good. Archaebacteria again. Next one. Which type? Chalo jaldi. Tell me what are the 3 categories of Archaebacteria?
Halophiles.
Thermoacidophiles.
Methanogen.
So we have done with classification of bacteria. Now see this. Archaebacteria have a different cell wall structure for their survival in extreme conditions. We have just discussed that archaebacteria can survive in extreme conditions. तो बेटा normal cell wall से तो survive कर नहीं सकते हैं. So they have a very different cell wall compared to the other animals. एक ये वाले थोड़े अलग होते हैं, methanogens. They survive in which areas I talked about? Methanogens.
Marshy areas.
Marshy.
Yes. Methanogens, they are also present in the guts of ruminant animals. Okay, this is one thing interesting that you should know. In the gut of cows, buffaloes, you will find these bacteria, methanogens. They're called methanogens because they produce methane from the dung of these animals. Okay, they produce methane gas from the dung of cow dung, buffalo dung and all. That is why they are known as methanogens. Let me have this. See, these are halophiles. What do you know about halophiles? Tell me quickly. They can survive in which conditions? Halogen,
Salty area.
salts. Yes,
Salty.
remember the word beta. Halophile matlab halogen. Halogen matlab salts. So they can survive in salty conditions. Thermoacidophiles can survive in which conditions? Thermo means temperature, acido means pH. So they can all survive in temperature and pH conditions. Chalo, methanogens, marshy areas. Can you see over here? See this. In the gut of ruminants, you will find these. Which category you will find in the gut of animals?
Methanogens.
Good. They are called methanogens because they produce which gas?
Methane.
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 Okay. Now moving on to the second category of bacteria, that is eubacteria. Actually, they are true bacteria. They have a proper cell wall and they have a flagellum. If they are motile, they're going to have a flagellum. Not all of them have. But which ones are considered to be true bacteria? Eubacteria or these? Tell me quickly, archaebacteria. Which one are true bacteria? Eubacteria. They are true bacteria. They have a cell wall and they have a flagellum. Let's move on to the next one, that is eubacteria. We were doing this. And they include autotrophs and heterotrophs. So basically, when I talk about true bacteria, they can be motile, they can be non-motile, they may be autotrophs or they may be heterotrophs. That is why the first slide says that looking at them, the structure is very simple, but the behavior is very, very complex. Okay, see this. Look at this. Now we're moving on to eubacteria, continuing. Eubacteria, we've got cyanobac, photosynthetic autotrophs. I just told you in eubacteria, we may have autotrophs or we may have heterotrophs. So first, let me tell you about autotrophs. Those bacteria which are autotrophs, we call them as photosynthetic ones, or they're also called as cyanobacteria. They have chlorophyll A, which is similar to that of plants. In cyanobacteria, which pigment is present?
Chlorophyll A.
Yes. Cyanobacteria, they're also known as blue-green algae. Because of the presence of this pigment, we call them as blue-green algae. They're unicellular, they're colonial, they live together, they may have filaments, they're marine, they may be found in water or they may be found on land. I just told you they're colonial, that means they live together. So whenever they form colonies, beta, the colony is surrounded by a sheath, a membrane, which is made up of gelatin. It's a very tough membrane, gelatinous sheath. They often form blooms in polluted water bodies. You must have seen wherever the water is dirty, you have a lot of growth of algae. Have you seen? दलदल बोलते हैं शायद हिंदी में, आप उसको याद है?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Some of them fix atmospheric nitrogen in cells which are called heterocysts. Some of these bacteria have the power of fixing atmospheric nitrogen. But this fixing is done only in some special cells. All cells cannot do this. What are these cells called as?
Heterocytes.
Heterocysts. Example is nostoc and anabina. Both nostoc and anabina have the power of fixing atmospheric nitrogen. This is your anabina, this is your nostoc. Both of them can fix atmospheric nitrogen because they have special cells which are called,
Heterocyst.
Heterocyst.
they're called heterocyst. So we were talking about the cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria is a subgroup of which bacteria? Tell me, RK or you?
Eubacteria.
Yes, we do. In eubacteria, we are talking about those which are photosynthetic. We are talking about those which are photosynthetic. Also, example is what?
Cyanobacteria.
Cyanobacteria.
Cyanobacteria. Chalo, आगे चलते हैं. Let's move this. Which pigment they have?
Chlorophyll.
Chlorophyll A.
Yes, they have chlorophyll. Chaliye. And when they live in colonies, they're surrounded by a sheath which is called,
Gelatinous sheet.
Gelatinous sheet.
yes. And last thing, some of them, for example, nostoc and Anabina, they can fix atmospheric nitrogen in special cells which are called,
Heterocyst.
yes, they're called heterocysts. Chaliye. We are talking about the eubacteria. We are continuing with eubacteria. We did the first category of eubacteria. They were photosynthetic bacteria. Now I'm talking about the second category, that is chemosynthetic bacteria. Tell me, children, which was the first category of eubacteria?
Photosynthetic.
Yes. And the second is?
Chemosynthetic.
Chemosynthetic.
Yes, beta, it is chemosynthetic. Look here. Green sulfur bacteria, purple sulfur bacteria. Basically, what we are trying to say is they oxidize inorganic substances such as nitrates, nitrites, ammonia, and then make energy from them. Okay? They help in recycling nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and sulfur. Basically, they are not photosynthetic. They will not perform. They do not have the pigment that we talked about. Name the pigment which is present in photosynthetic bacteria.
Chlorophyll A.
Chlorophyll A.
It's chlorophyll. Chlorophyll?
A.
Yes. Now, these chemosynthetic autotrophs, they are also autotrophs, beta, but they're not photosynthetic autotrophs because they will synthesize their food from chemicals. That is why we call them as chemosynthetic. Basically, which ones? Nitrates, nitrites, and ammonia. Tell me three things which they use to get energy.
Nitrates, nitrites, and ammonia.
Yes. So because they're using these nitrates, nitrites, ammonia chemicals for their energy production, we can call them as chemosynthetic autotrophs. They're autotrophs. They don't depend on anyone else for the food. They can get their own energy with the help of these things. So obviously they're helping in recycling of certain minerals, for example, nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and sulfur. So the first category of eubacteria was which ones?
Photosynthetic.
Yes, photosynthetic autotrophs. And the second category I just did was which autotrophs?
Chemosynthetic.
Very good. Chemosynthetic autotrophs. Don't worry, I'll be taking up a very quick revision of after this. The last ones which are left here in eubacteria, we got heterotrophic bacteria. We have got which bacteria?
Heterotrophic.
Heterotrophic bacteria. Obviously, the name tells you. See, the first category is the first one was able to prepare its food. It was photosynthetic autotroph. It could perform photosynthesis because of the pigment chlorophyll. Second ones were also autotrophs, but they were chemoautotrophs. Now, these third category of bacteria, they are the most abundant in nature, and majority of them are decomposers. They act like saprophytes. Okay, so these are which bacteria? Heterotrophic bacteria. Which bacteria are these?
Heterotrophic bacteria.
Okay, let me have a very quick revision. The most abundant, we talked about a two kingdom classification given by who gave the two kingdom classification? Aristotle. Plantae and
Animalia.
Animalia. Speak out, children, just one or two children in the class. R.H. Whitaker proposed how many kingdom classification?
5.
5 kingdoms.
Five. Very good. Now, thank God, boys, speak out. In addition to Plantae and Animalia, 3 more kingdoms were added. Which ones?
Monera,
Monera,
Protista,
Protista,
fungi.
fungi.
Yes. And we are studying about the first kingdom, that is Monera. When I say Monera in common language, what do I mean?
Bacteria.
Bacteria.
Yes, we're talking about bacteria. In structure, when you see them, they seem to be very, very simple. Okay. But what about their organization? Is it that simple or is it complex?
Complex.
Yes, it is complex. Now let us talk about the classification of bacteria. Two broad categories we had. What were the broad categories?
Archaebacteria and Eubacteria.
Very good. Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Which one are called as true bacteria?
Eubacteria.
Eubacteria.
Very good. And the Archaebacteria are not. Which ones live in extreme conditions?
Archaebacteria.
Archaebacteria.
Good. Archaebacteria. So basically, Archaebacteria again divided into categories. Those which can survive extreme salt conditions. What were they called
Hal-
as?
Halophiles.
Very good. Those which can survive extreme conditions of temperature and acidity.
Thermoacidophile.
Thermoacidophiles.
Very
Acidophile.
good. And the last ones which are found in marshy areas.
Methanogen.
Methanogens.
Methanogens. They're called methanogens because they produce which gas?
Methane.
Methane.
Yes,
Methane.
methane. Out of halophiles, thermophiles, methanogens, which one is found in the gut of animals?
Methanogens.
Methanogens.
These bacteria are considered to be true bacteria because they have a cell wall. Which ones? Archaea or U?
Eubacteria.
Eubacteria.
So in eubacteria, again, we had classification into autotrophs and heterotrophs. Autotrophs again were of two types, photosynthetic autotrophs and
Chemosynthetic autotrophs.
Synthetic.
very good. Photosynthetic autotrophs can perform photosynthesis, okay, and they can make their own food. But what about chemosynthetic autotrophs?
They synthesize
Hmm. Yes, Vika.
nitrates.
Oxidize nitrate, nitrates.
Good. So that means they're using basically these elements, and that is why they are known as photoautotrophs. Sorry, they are known as photosynthetic autotrophs or chemoautotrophs.
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 Very good. And they help in recycling also. Then we talked about the most abundant bacteria. Maximum of them are heterotrophic and they're decomposers by mode of nutrition. Children, once again, I'm not going to rush with the syllabus, don't worry. The first classification was given by
Aristotle.
Aristotle. How many kingdom classification was that?
Two kingdoms.
2 kingdoms. Can you name the kingdoms? See, one by name, if I ask you, it doesn't make any sense. Why don't you all speak out? Name the 2 kingdoms.
Plantain and
Animalia, Plantain.
Yes. Another person came up with a 5 kingdom classification. Name him.
RH Whittaker.
Yes, RH Whittaker. Very good. So to Plantain and Animalia, he added 3 more kingdoms. Which ones?
Monera protista and
Monera
fungi.
protista fungi.
We have done the first kingdom today, Monera. So when we say Monera, basically we are talking about
Bacteria.
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 Very good. So the bacteria or the Monera can be further put into 2 broad categories. Name the categories.
Archaebacteria and
Archaebacteria. Eubacteria.
Very good. Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Which are the ones which are found in extreme conditions?
Archaebacteria.
Archaebacteria. And when I talk about extreme conditions, we again have 3 categories. Tell me if you remember. I'm not going to show you on the screen.
Halophiles. Halophiles,
Yes.
thermoacidophiles, and methanogens.
Very good. Very good. So those which can follow, I mean, which can survive in extreme salty areas, what are these called?
Halophiles.